Low price and conveniently packaged in 2 pounds, 2 kg, 10 kg, and 25 kg bags. For wholesale and retail prices, contact SHEIK Limited, 665-3336, or visit us at Warrenville, Canupia. SHEIK Limited, quality you can trust.
Good evening, Assalamu alaikum, and welcome to See Results on IBN TV, as well as the IBN TV Facebook page and the See Results Facebook page. I am Sir Ijaz, and today is Thursday, so you know we're going to be doing mathematics from now until 6 p.m. And then at 6 p.m. we'll be joined by Ms. Nyla, who will be continuing with our creative writing. All right, so I know that the nation has just been met with some very unfortunate news. And I'm sure that that will be in the back of the mind of everyone watching right now, as well as our students. You know, they probably have something extra to worry about at a time when, you know, their worries are already at a high. But we hope, you know, that the Ministry of Health and so on, they monitor the situation properly and that they do their job so that you can do yours as a student, all right? So I know it's going to be that much trickier for the parents who will be worried about their young ones naturally, and for the students themselves who might be worried to focus. But I mean, we have a job to do, and of course we don't know what is going to happen in the future. So for the meantime, we're going to have to, you know, try to set aside the worries a little bit, put our faith in the Almighty, and try to keep a steady and calm thought process as we ready ourselves for SEA, God willing, all right? So we are deep now into our mathematics preparation. We are in the section 2, dealing with some questions on geometry, and we also today will be looking at some section 3 type questions in the strand of statistics. All right, statistics is a topic that we have gotten pretty far in because the majority of the topics, you know, it's not that numerous actually. We're dealing with frequency charts, the tally charts, as well as the different types of graphs, the bar graphs, the pictograph, the block graph, and interpreting that information, interpreting those various types of charts, as well as in doing mean and mode, all right, averages. So again, we have assignments that were posted over the weekend. We did have one glitch with the mathematics quiz that was re-uploaded on Sunday. So, you know, if you were one of the early ones that did the assignment, and parents, please remind your kids, if they did, to go on to Edmodo and to make sure that they have the mathematics done. And for those of you who haven't done it as yet, remember we have our math, our ELA, and the final chapter, or the final paragraph, sorry, to write for our creative writing assignment, okay, which is the last narrative writing assignment we'll be doing on the program. You can look forward to beginning this weekend, actually. You'll be doing some expository or report style writing with us, all right? So those were some, you know, house announcements that we had to make, as well as a bit of, hopefully, encouragement to you students. You know, continue to benefit from the program. All of our videos, you've seen all of those different avenues you can reach us on the screen a moments ago, be it on Facebook, on YouTube, on edmodo.com, all right? And you can look at our previous videos. And I was told, you know, and for those of you who were watching Breaking Barriers last night, that there will be a marathon on this Saturday of all of our episodes, so long as there wasn't a live program carded for that time slot. So, we are here with you. We are trying, to get you ready with the resources that we have, combined with the resources that you have, okay? So let's jump back in now to our mathematics. And of course, our lines will be open. We have reached a point now where, it's more about practice. And it has to be that way because we are running very short on time, as you know. Okay, we don't have time to do a whole lot of teaching. So you will be calling in and helping me out with these questions. And of course, learning is going to take place, as we carry on through the various questions. So those numbers will be put up on the screen now for you. And you can, feel free to give us a call and to render your assistance with these questions. Again, we are on geometry, which is one of the 4 strands, and we're in the second section of the paper. So these questions will be a bit more challenging than the ones in section 2, of course, with a little bit more marks. And we've already looked at, I believe, 2 questions in the last episode, which was on Monday. So we're continuing right now. All right, so just a reminder, in terms of the breakdown, there are 7 geometry type questions in the paper, 3 in section 1 and 2, and 1 in section 3. So here is our first question. We have to draw on the grid below, and perhaps you need to zoom in a bit on this one, a quadrilateral that has the following properties. We want a quadrilateral without any right angles, 1 line of symmetry, and 1 pair of parallel lines. All right, so, and then we have to name the quadrilateral. But of course, you would have to identify the quadrilateral before you draw it, probably, right? More than likely, that's how it's going to go. So I'm going to ask you what you think this quadrilateral is, and then I will draw it for you since you can't draw it for me, all right? So I have a caller on the line right now. Good afternoon, caller. Welcome to See Results on IBN TV.
Hello.
Hi, good afternoon. And who am I speaking with?
Hello.
Yes, hello. Good afternoon.
This is Javan.
Hey, welcome, Javan. So, Javan, what quadrilateral do you think has no right angles, 1 line of symmetry, and 1 pair of parallel lines?
A trapezium.
Excellent. So you are quite right. The answer here is a trapezium, right? All right. Thank you so much, Javan. And I am going to have to draw this trapezium now. Okay. But strictly speaking, this would have to be an isosceles trapezium in order for it to have that line of symmetry. All right. Because if 2 of the sides were not equal to each other in length, then it would not be symmetrical when we try to draw our line of symmetry, right? So this is actually an isosceles trapezium. And as you can see here, we have no right angles, all right, or as you may also know them, quarter turns, right? We have 1 line of symmetry, which would be this line down the center here. And remember, a line of symmetry, it's supposed to be in such a position that if you were to fold the figure on one side of the figure onto the other, it would completely cover it, all right? And there is 1 pair of parallel lines in this figure. And of course, that parallel, or those parallel lines, are these lines here, on top and below. All right, but had, let's say, this particular arm here of the trapezium been a bit longer in this direction, right, we would still have a trapezium, because we'd still have those 2 parallel sides. It'd still be a quadrilateral. However, it would not have a line of symmetry in that case, all right, because it would not be an isosceles trapezium, because 2 of the sides would not be equal to each other in length, and that is very important in order for that 1 line of symmetry to make sense, right? So that is the answer for our first question. And here now I have a drawing to complete which is also something that I would have to do, but I want to get the method or the procedure from our callers before I continue on to draw it for you. All right, so I'm going to take a caller here now. Good afternoon, caller. Welcome to See Results on IBN TV.
Hello?
Hi, so you need to mute the volume on the television, please, and listen to me on the phone.
Yes, sir.
All right, and who am I speaking with?
Javen again.
Hey, welcome back, Javan. So, Javan, how would you proceed to draw this or complete this figure given that AB here is a line of symmetry? How would you do that?
Okay, so first I would count the bottom line, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I would draw on the bottom line 8 lines to the right.
Okay. Yeah.
Then I would count the top one, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which is 9.
Which is 9.
Yes.
You sure about that?
Yes, I'm sure.
All right, so the top is actually also 8.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so then I'll draw 8.
Sorry, wait. You meant going upwards?
Yes, 9.
All
9
right,
upwards.
all right. Okay, I now understand what you meant.
Oh. So I'll draw 9 upwards.
Yeah.
Then I would draw across. I would come across 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 times.
Right. Yeah.
And then I would go down 1, 2, 3. I would go down 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
Then I would be facing the other way.
Right.
2 times.
Okay. 1, 2.
Yes. Then I would go down 3 times.
Very good.
And then I would come back to meet the other half at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines.
Excellent. Or you can just connect that point all the way to the symmetry line, right?
Okay.
Now, of course, you are going to do this with a ruler and have it much neater than I have here, right?
Okay, sir.
All right. Thank you so much, Javan. Javan was absolutely right there, people. So that is basically what you have to do. And one thing to notice about this line of symmetry here now is that all of these points, all of these edges basically on our figure, right, on this half, is the same distance away on the opposite side. All right, so notice this edge over here is 3 away. We also have this one here being 3 away. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We also have this point here, 8 away. And similarly, you have 3 away here, 8 away there, and 5 to this point here, to this turning point here. And then you have 8 again. All right, so you can also, use those points as guidelines, all right, in terms of how you are going to draw or connect them to make that symmetrical figure. All right, they are going to be equidistant, the same distance away from the opposite side, or from the image or the part of the figure on the opposite side of the line of symmetry, right? So it's like a mirror line. A mirror, basically. Whatever's happening on one side, the opposite is going to happen over there. All right? So that's correct, Javan. Thank you so much for your help again. And here now, we have a question that has to do with our understanding, our knowledge of vertices, edges, and faces, and so on, something that we did cover in detail. So you can look for those videos again on our YouTube channel and use them as a study guide. All right, most of the section 1 question videos that we did will have like lessons, detailed lessons with notes and, discussing the theory and practice exercises and so on. So that's a way more comprehensive. Right now in these section 2 and 3 type questions, we are basically trying to apply what we learned in those previous videos, right, which were basically foundational to what we are doing now. So let's have a look at this question. The frame of this square-based pyramid was made using pallet sticks of length 6 centimeters. How many pallet sticks were used in total? So I'm going to take a caller to help me with this. Good afternoon, caller. Welcome to See Results on IBN TV. All right, so we seem to have lost that caller. But do we have another on the line? Good afternoon, caller. Welcome to See Results. Hi, caller. Good day.
Hi, can I give an answer?
Hi, good day. Who am I speaking with? Good afternoon, caller.
Hi.
Hi, and who am I speaking with today?
Zafira Bash.
Hey, welcome to the program. So, can you help me with this question here?
Yes.
All right, let's hear your thoughts.
This sort of said, each pallet stick measures 6 centimeters.
6 centimeters.
And they said at the bottom, they said the length is 18.
Uh-huh.
So to find out how much sticks there, I would say 18 divided by 6.
Right.
Which is 3.
Yes. And how many edges of this pyramid are of the length 18 centimeters?
4.
Right, so what do we have to do with that 3 now?
Multiply by 4.
Right, very good.
And then they said the slope is 30 centimeters.
Yes.
So you divide that by 6, which gives you 5.
Right. And again, how many edges do we have that are the sloping edge here?
4.
4. So I have to do
And
what with 5?
so then you say 5 multiplied by 4, which is 20.
Yeah.
And then you add up 20 and 12, and you will find how much sticks were used in total, which is 32.
Excellent work. You are most correct. Thank you so much for your help.
You're welcome.
All right. So, guys, this is a square-based pyramid. And we learned all about, how to know how many faces, how many edges, how many vertices both prisms and pyramids have. All right. We know that this is a square-based pyramid. So just to jolt your memory here a little bit, you're going to take the number of sides that the base has and add 2 to it. That will give you the number of faces. So we have, add 1 to it. So we have 5 faces here. The 4 triangles all around, plus the 1 square at the beginning. And for the number of edges, we multiply the number of sides of the base by 2. So that's 8, all right? So we know we have 8 edges here. 4 of those edges are the square base, and then we have the edges along the triangular faces, all right? So, as she correctly said, the square base has a side of 18 centimeters. Of course, it's a square, so we know it's going to be 18 all along, all right? And we divide by 6 centimeters, which is the length of 1 pallet stick, to get 3 sticks, making up 1 edge of the square. So we have 4 of those edges. Therefore, we must multiply by 4 to get 12 pallet sticks, all right, for the base. And then we have the edges of the triangles, and those are 30 centimeters long. So we divide that by 6, and we are going to get 5 pallet sticks per edge. And again, we have 4 edges. So we multiply that by 4, and we add them together to have a total of 32 sticks, making up this square-based pyramid in total, all right? So that is correct, and thanks again for your help. So I have an interesting question here, and this one is all about you looking at an image and being able to pull out certain figures, all right? So we have a diagram below that shows part of a tiled floor, and we have to name 3 different plane shapes, all right? Plane meaning flat, that can be seen in the rectangle. So I'm going to take a call here. Good afternoon, caller. Welcome to See Results on IBN TV.
Hi, this is Aidan.
Hey, welcome, Aidan. So, Aidan, can you tell me what shapes you're seeing here in this rectangle?
Can you say it over again?
So, are you seeing the pattern on the screen?
Yes.
All right, so we have here, this is a part of a tile floor, right?
Yes.
And we have to name 3 different plane shapes that we are seeing inside the rectangle here, or as part of the rectangle here.
Oh. You can see a right angle, isosceles triangle.
All right.
A rhombus.
Mm-hmm.
And an equilateral triangle.
And an equilateral triangle?
Yeah.
All right. Okay, great. Give me an idea where this right angle triangle is.
At the corner of the rectangle, at the vertex of it.
Right, so this here is our right angle triangle. Where's the rhombus?
The rhombus is the 2 rhombuses joined together.
Right. So this would be one here.
Yeah.
All right. And what was the last one you said? An equilateral triangle?
Yeah.
And where would that be?
That is underneath and on top of the rhombus.
All right. Well, we certain that these 2 sides are equal, right?
Yeah.
Not 100% sure about this one at the bottom here, but yes. So that is at least for sure we can say it's an isosceles triangle, right?
Yes.
All right. So thank you so much for your help. You are most correct. So we have a right angle triangle or a right triangle. Okay, we have the rhombus. Isosceles triangle, and there are a couple more figures or plane shapes that we can get out of this, all right, which I will demonstrate to you now, because I'm sure that some students, maybe not a lot, but some students may have seen some other things here going on, but those 3 there are indeed the most obvious ones, all right. So what else do we have going on? Okay, so if you look here, we have a right trapezium taking place over there, or at least a trapezium, and there is another trapezium over here. So those are 2 trapezia, as these lines here are parallel, and it is a quadrilateral, all right? And so those are 2 remaining plane figures or plane shapes that we could get here. There's even one more. And that would be this figure here, which is a pentagon, all right, a 5-sided plane shape, all right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sides of the pentagon, all right. So all of those would have been acceptable answers. So thank you so much, Aidan, for your help, and let's see what's up next. All right, so I have here AB is a line of symmetry, and we have to complete the drawing of the irregular shape. And since Javon proved just now to us on that call that he can actually guide me in my drawing, I'm going to take a caller to also assist me with this one, right? So good afternoon, caller. Welcome to the results.
Hello?
Hi, good day. And who am I speaking with?
Javon.
Hey, welcome back, Javon. So Javon, I know that you know how to do this. So let's complete this symmetrical figure here using the line of symmetry AB.
Okay, so first I will go downwards twice.
Right.
Then I would go through the square upwards.
Yeah.
Then I would go right.
Yes.
Then I would go downwards through the square again.
Yeah.
Then I would go up one line.
Yeah.
Then I would go across to the right. And then I would go through the square to meet the other line.
Excellent. So
Okay.
that is our figure there. All right, thank you, Javan. All right, and again, notice that these points, where we have a change in direction, basically, on the opposite side of our symmetrical figure, that they would be the same distance away from the line of symmetry as the point that it's mirroring, basically, from the opposite side, right? So this one is 2 here away from the line of symmetry. This is also 2, 1 away, 1 away. We have here 2 away, 1 away, and this one is on the line. And we can use those points, all right? If you don't want to trace it along, as Javan has been doing, you can identify those points and basically use those points and connect them in order to draw or to complete your symmetrical figure, right? So that is the same distance as that, and so on. All right, so we have to draw a triangle now with a few properties here, and let's see who can identify the type of triangle that we are dealing with. Good afternoon, caller. Welcome to See Results on IBN TV. Hi, good afternoon, caller.
Hi,
Hi, and who am I speaking with?
this is Aidan again.
Hey, welcome back, Aidan. So, Aidan, can you tell me, before we draw it, what type of triangle has one line of symmetry and one right angle?
A right angle isosceles triangle.
Excellent. What does an isosceles triangle mean?
It has 2 equal sides.
Right.
Opposite angles are equal and 1 line of symmetry.
All right, so it has, yes, 1 line of symmetry and 2 equal sides, right?
Yes.
Okay, great. So thank you so much, Aidan. And I am going to draw this right isosceles triangle for you. Now it's very important that you make these, well, the word here is perpendicular sides, right? Where the right angle is formed, basically, that they must be the same length. So we have here this one 3, and we also have the other 3, and then we can join them. All right, and we have this right angle, and the line of symmetry will have to bisect our figure like that. All right, now of course we have to make the distinction that this is an isosceles right triangle, because not all right triangles, in fact most of them that you will encounter, will not be isosceles, all right? But yes, in order for there to be that right angle, it must be a right angle triangle. And we have these 2 sides here, call them adjacent sides. They are equal to each other in length. All right, so that's correct. And do we have more geometry questions? Yes, we do. So I'm going to continue with this geometry question before we go for a break. We have a couple more. So here we have to name and draw the quadrilateral that is formed by joining the 2 triangles below. Good afternoon, caller. Welcome to See Results on IBN TV.
Good afternoon, caller. Welcome.
Good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon. And who am I speaking with?
Good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon. Who am I speaking with?
Hello?
Good afternoon. Are you hearing me, caller?
Yes, sir.
All right. So can I ask who am I speaking with?
Caitlin Nochan.
Welcome, Caitlin. So, Caitlin.
Thank you.
what figure or what quadrilateral, I should say, that we can form by joining these two triangles below?
Pardon me?
Are you seeing the question on the screen?
Yes, sir.
All right, so we want to name and draw the quadrilateral that is formed by joining the two triangles below. Can you do that for me?
Hello?
Yes, Caitlin, are you hearing me?
Yes.
All right, so go ahead and name the quadrilateral, please.
Okay, so first of all, there is an equilateral triangle.
Uh-huh.
And then there is an isosceles triangle.
Right.
And then there, okay.
Now we want to figure out what quadrilateral we get when we join them.
Triangular base pyramid.
All right, so a triangular base pyramid is a solid actually, right? So we're looking here for a plane figure. So do you know what a quadrilateral is?
Yes.
Tell me what a quadrilateral is.
A four-sided figure.
All right, a four-sided figure. So do you see any way that these two triangles here can be joined?
Yes.
Okay, where? Give me an idea where.
Okay, so the equilateral triangle will be the base.
All right, so, okay, so I want you to pay attention here, right? We have the equilateral triangle, as you said, as it is of side 8 centimeters, okay?
Yes.
Right.
Will it form a parallelogram?
All right, it's actually not a parallelogram, but let's look at this 8 centimeter side here. What if we were to take that and to drag it across and join it here, where we also have the 8 centimeter side? You seeing that?
Yes.
So we basically going to join it here at this point. That 8 centimeter side will fit nicely over there. All right, and we're going to have what would be the length of these two sides here now?
So the one in the green will be 10 centimeters, and then the other one will be 10.
Right. So does this figure here look like anything that you can name?
A kite.
Exactly. So the answer is
A kite.
Right, so in kites, the adjacent sides are equal to each other. Notice here,
Yes.
8 and 8, right? And these
Yes.
two are 10 and 10, right?
Yes.
All right. And we basically have a kite here. And how many lines of symmetry a kite has, do you know?
Yes, 1.
1, exactly. And that one line here would be this line here, right?
Yes, the line going down the middle vertically.
Right. Very good. So thank you so much, Caitlin.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, so that's Caitlin. That's a first-time caller, I believe, at least on the mathematics segment. And we have here a kite. And of course, once we put those two shapes together, we all know about kites, all right? I believe we're entering kite season very soon, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, so this is a kite. And here now we have to draw lines of symmetry of the figure in the grid below. So this one could be a little tricky, right? You have to pay attention here now and make sure that you draw that line of symmetry in the right spot. And as a matter of fact, we have to identify how many lines of symmetry we have before we draw them, all right? Or you can draw them and count them after, I guess. So we have a caller on the line. Good afternoon, caller. Welcome to See Results. Good afternoon, caller.
Yes, good evening.
Hello?
Yes,
Yes, good afternoon. Who am I speaking with?
Josiah Sampa.
Welcome, Josiah. So, where are the lines of symmetry on this figure? I know you can't draw it for me, but you can give me an idea.
The first one is vertical.
Vertical?
Yes.
All right. Why do you say vertical? Do you think that if we were to fold this figure about this vertical line here, would this side match with this side? Would that side cover that side completely? Josiah?
Yes.
Do you think that this side here, if I were to fold it over this green line, which you said is the first line of symmetry, would it cover it?
No.
No, right? Okay. And let's look at the points, the points where the direction of the line changes, all right? We have one here, that is one square away, right? Do we have that
Yes.
similar thing going on here in this figure?
No.
No, right? All right, so that rules the vertical line out. What about horizontal? Do you think horizontal will work?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Huh?
Look at it again. If I were to fold this figure about here, would the top portion cover completely the underneath one?
No.
No, right? And again, we can use this point here as a reference. That is one square away from the line of symmetry. We would have to have this taking place here for that to be true, not so?
Yes, sir.
All right. So don't worry, yeah? I mean, we are all learning here right now. So can you think of anywhere else that a line of symmetry might go? Where if I were to fold it, one half would completely cover the other half.
Diagonal.
Yes. So we have one diagonal this way. All right?
Yeah.
Now try to visualize it. If I were to fold this over here, wouldn't it cover the other half? This point here would meet with this point over here, not so?
Yes.
And this point here would also meet with that point, and similarly. Are we in agreement there?
Yes, sir.
All right, so that's one. Is there another line of symmetry? Josiah?
Yes.
Do you see another line of symmetry? All right, so I'll give you some help there, right?
Yeah.
We can also use this other diagonal here. You see in that?
Yes, sir.
And now we could fold it this way. And that would cover the other side. All right?
Yeah.
All right, Josiah. Thank you so much for your help. So, viewers, I believe that this question was set deliberately for you, to jump at it thinking that, all right, you know it looking symmetrical, you're seeing the symmetry there, but you're not really accustomed to these lines of symmetries being diagonal, all right? But it can be, of course, as we've just seen, all right? And we need to put that to the test by looking at the points and seeing if they are the same distance away from the line of symmetry on opposite sides when we draw them. That's a great way of testing it, aside from just looking at it and trying to determine whether one half would cover the other half if you were to fold it. All right, so we have yet another section 2 geometrical question, and we have to draw on the grid provided. Right, this is a bit of a wordy question, so I put the grid on the other sheet. But we have to draw a quadrilateral on the grid provided with the properties given below. One line of symmetry, 0 right angles, one pair of opposite sides equal in length, and one pair of equal angles less than a quarter turn. So if you know what this particular quadrilateral is, please let us know. So I have a caller on the line. Good afternoon, caller. Welcome to see results. Hi, good afternoon, caller.
I can't answer that.
Hi, good day. All right, so that caller said they can't answer that. That's all right. I mean, you can give it a try. I won't chase you away. I'll probably give you some assistance, as a matter of fact. So I have another caller on the line. Good afternoon, caller. Welcome to see results.
Hi.
Hi, and who am I speaking with?
Safira, back.
Hey, welcome back. So what quadrilateral has these properties?
A trapezium.
Right. And what specific type of trapezium? Because I gave it away a little bit earlier in the program as well.
The trapezium that has the 2 slanted sides and 1 pair parallel sides.
All right, excellent. All right, so that is what the answer is. And because the pair of opposite sides are equal, we actually call this an isosceles trapezium, all right? And I'm going to do it once more. So thank you so much for your help. There's nothing to trace here, so I can't ask her for assistance in drawing it. But yeah, again, this is the figure that we are looking at. All right, we have one line of symmetry. It's a little bit off center there. One line of symmetry. We have, what were the other properties listed? So the one line of symmetry, we have it. We have no right angles, all right? We have 0 right angles here. So that's another property checked. One pair of opposite sides equal in length. That would be these sides here, equal in length. And we also have one pair of equal angles less than a quarter turn, and that would be these 2 angles here. And again, if those 2 sides, those opposite sides were not equal, those angles would not be equal in length, right? So that's why this is a trapezium or an isosceles trapezium. All right, so that is all of our questions we have in geometry for today. So I'm just going to take a quick break now, and we'll come back in a couple of minutes and begin with our section 3 type statistics questions. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back in 2 minutes.
SHEIK LISHA Limited, the Caribbean's largest manufacturers of plain and printed paper bags, leaders in plastic bags, vermicelli, split piece powder, and greaseproof paper, ideal for doubles, french fries, and sandwiches. Supplying stores nationwide. For quality products, trust SHEIK LISHA Limited, 665-3336.
For the everyday lowest prices on all grocery items, trust Low Cost Supermarket for the widest variety of quality products at low prices. Freshly picked fruits and vegetables, healthy products for your well-being, high-quality meat cuts, and a warm and friendly service. Low Cost Supermarket, Sun and Main Road, Cunupia.
Good afternoon, assalamu alaikum, and welcome back to See Results on IBN TV, as well as the IBN TV Facebook page and the See Results Facebook page. So we've just gone through there some geometric questions, or some questions in geometry from the second section of the SEA paper, or at least that style of question. All right, and now we'll be moving on to the next strand of mathematics again, which is statistics. And we'll be looking at section 3 type questions. So of course these questions, you can expect them to be a bit more involved, a bit more challenging. All right, so you have to be on your A game here. And we're going to begin looking at those. Remember, in statistics, you have only 7 questions in this particular strand. You have 3 in sections 1 and 2, as well as 1 question, the final question on the paper, all right, which is in section 3. And here is our first question. So we're going to take a little zoom in there to the graphic. And we have the incomplete bar graph below shows the number of people taking each ride at an amusement park. On average, 48 people rode each ride. Calculate the number of people who rode the merry-go-round and complete the bar graph. All right, so we're noticing here that we have 5 different rides here at this amusement park. Roller coaster, Ferris wheel, the merry-go-round, fast train, and a scrambler. Okay, and we have on average 48 people going on each of the rides. That's on average, right? And we need to calculate the number of people who rode the merry-go-round. So if you have an idea of how to complete that, our numbers are available to you. Feel free to give us a call and give us some assistance with this question and the remaining questions for today. So of course, this is testing 2 different things, your knowledge of reading the bar graph as well as your knowledge of averages. So I have a caller on the line. Good afternoon, caller. Welcome to See Results.
Hello?
Hi, good day. And who am I speaking with?
Javan.
Hey, welcome back, Javan. Javan is working very hard today. So Javan,
Okay.
what are your thoughts for this question?
So to find the total number of people, I would say 48 multiplied by 5.
Right.
And I would get 240 people.
All right, hold on a second. 48 by 5.
Is 240.
All right. So that's our total.
You could please go back to the question.
No problem.
So then I would say 50, add 20, add 40, add 60, which would give me 170.
All right. Yes.
And then I would say 240, take away 170 to give me 70 people.
Excellent. So 70 people use the merry-go-round.
Merry-go-round.
And how do I show that on this bar graph here?
You would draw it up to the 70 line on the merry-go-round.
All right. And something that we need to always remember when we are doing bar graphs, and again, you will have your ruler in the exam room, right?
Yes, sir.
Try to keep the width of the bars the same, right? As
Yes,
well as
sir.
the distances from each other.
Okay.
Right? So thank you so much, Javan. That is excellent work. All right. So remember, guys, when we are dealing with averages, we are dealing with a particular sum over a count. All right, a sum over a count. And what we had to determine here what the sum was. Okay, so how many rides do we have here in this amusement park, or represented here at least on the diagram, on the bar graph? We have 5 different rides, and the average is 40. So we know the count, which is 5. Okay, so something divided by 5 gives us an average of 48. So that's why we did the opposite of divide here, which was to multiply, and we got 240 people in total. And then we used our graphic interpretation skills to read off the different values for each ride. Yes, by looking at the numbers here on the left hand side. All right, and we got 50, 20, 40, and 60 for the remaining rides besides the merry-go-round. And then we were able to sum them, as Javan told us, and we got 170, and in subtracting that from the total, we got the missing number of people here who used the merry-go-round. All right, so that question combined your knowledge of the bar graphs as well as your knowledge of mean. So here we have another question that's related. So Mr. Lionel or Mr. Lionel has a budget of $350 for himself, his wife, and 2 children to spend at the same amusement park. They wish to take each ride at least one time. If one ride costs $15, determine whether they would be able to achieve this on his budget. All right, so we have here what? A family of 4. He has a budget of $350, and they want to take each ride at least once. We have the cost of a ride. So what are we going to do here for this question? Good afternoon, caller. Welcome to See Results on IBN TV. Hi, good day, caller.
Hello, good day.
Good day, and who am I speaking with?
You're speaking with John Thomas.
Hey, welcome to the program. So we have here Mr. Lionel, who is at this amusement park here with these same rides. All right. How many rides are there at this amusement park?
5.
5. Very good. So we just need to establish that, right? And he has a budget of $350 for himself, his wife, and 2 children to spend there. So how many people are we looking at?
We're looking at 4 people.
Right, so we have 5 rides. We have 4 people. And how much is one ride?
A ride is $15.
Right, so the cost of one ride is $15. So they all want to use each ride at least once. And they have how much money to spend?
$250.
Right, so how are we going to determine whether they can afford to do that?
Okay. First, you multiply 15 by 5.
Yes. And what would this tell you?
This will tell you how much is for the total ride for one person.
For one person. Excellent. And how much is 15 by 5?
15 by 5 is 85. I mean, 75.
75, right? So 75 per person. And how many people?
4 people, so you have to multiply by 4.
All right. And what would that give us?
300.
300. So therefore, would they be able to afford to go on every ride once with this budget?
Yes, they will be. Yes, they will be able to go on every ride because they will have $50 left.
All right, great. So they have enough money and to buy some snacks as well, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you so much for that call and for your assistance. All right. So just to recap, moving on from the first part of the question, We have here a family with 4 people, and they are at this amusement park where they're planning to go, and they have $350 to spend, and they want to use each individual or member of the family wants to go on each of those rides at least one time if possible. And they have the cost of each ride is $15. So our young caller there guided us to work out the cost for one person to go on the 5 rides. So that's 5 multiplied by 15, which gives us a total of $75 per person. And the family consists of 4 people. So you just multiply that price for one individual by 4, and as he correctly stated, that amounts to $300, and $300 is within the budget, all right? And as he said, you have even $50 left or $50 to spare, okay? So that makes it entirely possible. All right, so we are almost out of time, and these questions are long questions, so I won't move on to the next one. Instead, I'm going to talk a little bit about our Edmodo page. All right, so, that'll be it for the calls until we resume mathematics on Monday. All right, and of course, if this is the first time you're viewing, all right, or if you've been viewing for a while and you haven't yet joined our Edmodo page, you need to visit www.edmodo.com or download the Edmodo app, and you see the access code there, 6KJQ3Y. All right, you're going to go. There are some simple steps to follow, nothing too complicated. You just basically download the app or visit the website, and you create a student account, and then you will be asked to enter a class code, and you use that class code that you're seeing there in the yellow bubble there on your screen right now, and you'll be able to access it. And the nice thing is that parents will also be able to create an account using the same code, but you have to make sure to get started as a parent instead, and you can link your parent to your account afterwards. But of course, all of that isn't necessary. A parent can just put the app on their phone, on their tablet, on their laptop, and they can monitor their, log in for their child or for their ward and allow them to do the quizzes supervised, because the quizzes are timed, all right? So you just hand them a phone, or they use their phone. You think they're doing work, they do something else, and it's timed like a real exam. So the clock is ticking, and they're on some other app doing something, playing a game. The time runs out, and they're going to get a score of 0, or as much as they would have done in the paper before they lost focus, all right? So it's a practice in focus. Of course, when you enter the exam room, you can't just leave the exam room at will and stop and decide to do something else and come back. There is a time limit for mathematics. It's 75 minutes. And we tried these quizzes. We are a little generous with the time because it's all about practice, all right? So make sure you get there. We have 3 quizzes or 2 quizzes on assignment due tomorrow at 11:59 p.m. If you haven't done it, make sure and try to get it done. And if you were one of those who did the maths very early, as soon as it came out, there was one error. So it was re-uploaded on Sunday. So make sure to double check that your entry was after it was re-uploaded, all right? And that is it there for me for today. You'll be joined in a couple minutes by Miss Nyla for creative writing. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with C results. Good evening. Assalamu alaikum.
SHEIK LISHA Limited, the Caribbean's largest manufacturers of plain and printed paper bags, leaders in plastic bags, vermicelli, split piece powder, and greaseproof paper, ideal for doubles, french fries, and sandwiches. Supplying stores nationwide. For quality products, trust SHEIK LISHA Limited, 665-3336.
For the everyday lowest prices on all grocery items, trust low-cost supermarket for the widest variety of quality products at low prices. Freshly picked fruits and vegetables, healthy products for your well-being, high-quality meat cuts, and a warm and friendly service. Low-cost supermarket, Southern Main Road, Cunupia.
Assalamu alaikum, good evening guys, and welcome back to C Results. I'm Ms. Naila, and now you're joining me for creative writing. Welcome students, welcome parents. I hope that you all had a good day, whether it's school, work. If you took a day off today, probably needed some extra rest, right? Whatever it is, I hope you are ready with us and willing to learn. So for creative writing today, we are going to be looking at a report and a narrative style. So before we do that, I just want to welcome all our viewers, whether you are joining us on the C Results page on Facebook or the IBN TV 8 page on Facebook as well, or right live with us on channel 8 IBN TV, right? So now we're going to start. Now yesterday what we did, not yesterday actually, Tuesday, and what we have been doing for the past couple episodes, we looked at narrative actually in depth, as well as report style writing or expository style writing, right? So with the narrative, we did that earlier. So earlier on the program when we just started, that was one of the first things that we did. We went through story writing, we looked at the elements of story writing and the writing process and everything that you need to know with regards to writing a story, right? Getting prepared, how do you go about it? What do I need to know, right? So what are the things to stay away from? As well as with report writing in depth as well. Right, and what we did and what we know so far is that what is important in writing both a narrative piece or an expository piece is using the rubric hand in hand to look at our piece or to assess ourselves. Right, so what we did in the past, we looked at a piece and we used the rubric, whether it was narrative or report, to help us understand, how a child will achieve the mark that they get at the end of the piece. Now, with narrative style rubric, we did not do as many examples because we know we were short on time and we wanted to ensure that we get all the content covered for report style writing just before the SC exam. So now that we have gotten all the content covered for both narrative and expository style writing, we are going to now be assessing pieces using the rubric, so both the report and narrative. So that's what we're going to be doing today, both report and narrative, as well as I'm going to share, hopefully I'll get some time to do this, share a couple pieces of your work. On Tuesday, Sir was probably just a short on time a little bit, so he probably shared about 3 pieces with you, so I would like to do so today as well, right? And I know students look forward to that, and that is, of course, a form of motivation, and we also like to showcase your work and, show everyone, not only progress, right, but the variation, different ideas, how students can take the same topic and create something so different, right? It's all about creativity. So we're going to start with the expository style piece first. Now, we know that this is the rubric here that we are using. And as I say, every time we look at report writing or narrative, this is, the rubric is quite similar for both report and narrative. Now, for report, and we said that what is different is the criteria, of course, the criteria in the rubric. So the content, language, use, organization. Only similarity between the two rubrics, or one of the similarities, I should say rather, is the grammar mechanics section. Right? Now, if you're just joining us and you don't fully understand, how to use the rubric to help, you're going to learn that today. But we did more in depth where we looked at, the achievement levels. So you're seeing here 5 different achievement levels. Now, the highest achievement level would be 5. That means 5 marks, right? So the highest mark that you can earn for grammar mechanics would be 5. 5 for organization, 5 for languages, and 5 for content. Now, we are not aiming for 4320100, right? That is not what we are looking at. And if you look to the bottom of the rubric here, you will see the explanation for the bands of the report or narrative, right? So what exemplary means, or what proficient tells you about the student, or if your child is getting 3, which means that he is progressing. Why is he progressing, and what does progressing mean, right? Similarly with emerging, what does makes an attempt, and how does unsatisfactory look like? What you must do, what criteria you must meet in order to get that exemplary 5 marks, right? And I'm just going to repeat, exemplary means exceeds the standard, right? So you are well up to mark with what you are doing, probably a little overboard as well, right? So that is going to award you 5 marks in each of the different criteria here. So this is the topic for the report that we are doing today. Write a report on a recently concluded competition. Include factual information on the date, time, place, and schools involved. Details about the competition and the results. So this here is what is essential in your rubric, right? Remember, not rubric, sorry, your report. What I must remind you, in your report, it is not as long, so the length of your report doesn't match that of a narrative piece, right? So if you're accustomed writing 6 paragraphs in a narrative, and you come to a report and you feel like you're stuck, you don't know what to write, you feel like you're only reaching 3 or 4 paragraphs, and that's it, right? 5 maximum, and you can't go further. That's okay, guys. Right, once you have the important details in a rubric, I don't know why I keep saying rubric, in a report, that is what is important, right? So in a report, we are looking for specifics, things you must stick to, right? A report is a little more strict as the formal style of writing as opposed to the narrative piece, right? Hence the reason that your reports will not be as lengthy as a narrative style piece. Right, so what is important about this topic, you understand what they're asking you to do, right? You know who you're going to write to, and what you must include here, right? Now, they said write a report on a recently concluded competition. Now, they didn't tell you to write exactly to your principal or to your teacher, but you can, right? You're accustomed doing that in any of the reports. One such as this, and they did not give you, who to write to, you can address it to your principal, that is fine, right? And if it's choice, just keep it formal. But in your report, you must give me the date, time, and place. But you already know that because in your report, in your content aspect of the rubric, you are marked. That is where your 5 marks come in, right? So you have to give date, time, and place. That is already a given. So that is nothing additional that you have to do to earn extra marks, right? That is a must, and schools involved. So that is also another mandatory piece, right? You give us all the relevant details to the report. Details about the competition, and if we look at the content, when we go to that shortly, we will see how they mark from the beginning to end. That is what they are looking for in the content aspect of the rubric. And the results, right, which will come probably in your conclusion of your report. Right, so let's read the report together. On Monday, 2nd April 2018, the annual Republic Bank piano competition was held at Queen's Hall, Port of Spain. The competition was scheduled to commence at 9 in the morning and end at 2 the afternoon, right? Something is missing there. The competition comprised of 3 participating schools. Before the competition commenced, each school was divided into 2 categories, junior and senior. The room was full to capacity with the audience and 3 judges. The schools were asked to perform based on an alphabetical order, beginning with the junior category. As the students played their pieces, the audience applauded. Next, there was a halftime intermission, meaning the judges were calculating the points for the junior category. We resumed performing at 1 o'clock. There was school left to perform for the senior category. Then at approximately 1:30, the judges were ready with the results. Afterwards, the judges announced the results. Each student was awarded with a certificate of participation. On stage was Harmony Government in 3rd place. Next, in 2nd place was Raisley Primary School. Final, in 1st place was the winning trophy with the winning trophy was St. X Private School. Right, so finally, we were all dismissed at 2 o'clock. We all shook hands and congratulated each other. Overall, the competition was a success once again. Participants also displayed their talents of the youth of Trinidad. Okay, guys, so what is your first impression of this report, right? So I'm just going to go back there and we're going to analyze this before we get to the rubric itself, right? And what we can do, I'm going to open the lines and I'm going to just take a couple calls. Now, the reason I'm taking the calls, I want you students to tell me what is your opinion about this report, right? What do you think for content? Before I go on and I explain to you, you know, what the student did and what mark he was awarded, I want you to tell me, you know, what is your thought? Is it, you know, aligned with the style of writing that a report is supposed to? What do you think about punctuation? What about organization, language use? And we do have a caller to help us. Good evening and welcome to See Results.
Hello, good day.
Hi, welcome. What's your name?
Kaylee Spencer.
Hi, Kaylee. So tell me, what is your first impression after reading this report?
I think this report had a lot of grammatical errors in it.
Excellent.
But other than that, I think it was pretty good.
Pretty good, right? I agree with you. Thank you so much, Kaylee, for calling. Right, so I agree with Kaylee there. Quite a few grammatical errors, right? Quite a number of grammatical errors to be exact, right? And the lines are still open if anybody else would like to call, give their opinion about the report. And we have another caller. Good evening and welcome to See Results.
Can you hear me?
Hi, good evening. Welcome. Hi, caller. Are you there with us?
I like reports.
Can you say that again?
Hello?
Yes. Welcome. What's your name?
My name is Javel.
Nice to have you with us. And what would you like to share with us?
Well, I like to do reports better than essays.
Okay.
It's a bit easier.
Okay, and what is your opinion about this report? What would you say overall about this report here?
Well, this report was pretty good.
Okay, and do you see anything that the student probably would have lost marks for?
For the punctuation.
Punctuation. Okay, no problem. Thank you so much for calling. Right, so that caller is also correct. The punctuation errors, grammatical errors. So we are seeing that students are aware of some of the things that came about. Now, overall, this was, you know, this report was well done. Right, they gave information as required. But as usual, when you go through the report, you are going to see, and the rubric, we are going to see what's next. And we have another caller. Good evening and welcome
to make a comment on the report, please.
Sure. What is your comment?
So I would like to say that I think the sentences could have been varied.
Yes.
The child had a lot of repetition in the report.
What was the repetition? Can you tell me what repetition?
He kept on saying the competition comprised. He always talking about the competition.
Excellent. Great observation, right? Thanks for calling. Right, so we're going to hold the lines there. We're going to go to the rubric now. Right, so I am happy to know that, you know, students can point out some of the things, you know, or the negatives about the report as well as the positives. Remember, we are always highlighting positives as well. We did say the report was well written. All right, just a couple errors, but that can be fixed, right? Some things that you can edit in this and it will be better, right? Your writing will improve. Remember, in your content aspect of the report, these are some of the descriptors that we look at, right? So when we are talking about the rubric, if you remember the rubric to the beginning there, the one that we always use, right? The criteria consists of content, language use, organization, grammar, mechanics. So even when we discuss what each part or each aspect of the rubric, what it entails, it's the same as when we put it on your rubric. Right now, they are just shortening it for you, and they are pointing to the specifics. So they are looking for relevant main ideas and supporting details, right? So remember, they asked for that even in the topic itself. Now, you will see here what happened from beginning to end. this is part of content because this is actually the content of the writing, right? What the child put into the report, the information given from the very beginning to the end, right? Making sure all ideas were tied together and so on. Next, persons involved, first name and surname, right? Now, this would apply here if you had an incident and you had to specifically give the names of the students involved. I must remind you, right, when you are introducing someone in your report for the first time, you introduce them using their first name and their last name. If you are talking about this person a second time in your report, you can refer to them using their first name or their surname only. But each time that you introduce somebody new, what must be given? Their first name and their surname. Additionally, location of the event, date, and time. You will notice also in your topic, they specifically ask you to include these things here. So that in itself is a hint, right? So just in case, you know, some students tend to forget that, right, in their introductory paragraph, in their report, they are reminding you, right? So it's like a subtle reminder, please put in this, right? That is part of your content. You are going to be awarded marks for this. In fact, it is 5 marks. Content is actually out of 5. This child here earned 4, and soon we are going to see why. But they're trying to hint you into the direction of following or abiding by the regulations of a report, right? So let's look at some of the general comments here about this report. Most details are relevant to the report, and I do agree, right? 1 or 2 things there, probably the line, and we'll probably go back to that soon, to the beginning there was a piece of irrelevant detail that you probably didn't need to give, but most details were relevant to the report. It did not take away from the report itself, so we understood what the person was saying throughout. Now, when you give too much irrelevant details, that is when you start to stray, right? And your report itself does not flow smoothly. The ideas are not coherent, right? And you start to lose track of what is really going on. In a report, you must stick to the specifics, right? The location, date, and time were included in the introductory paragraph of the report. We observed that this was included, right? The names of the participating schools should have been placed in the first paragraph. Now, often when we look at the introductory paragraphs, what we include in that, and if you remember, we did give some samples of some introductory paragraphs because they are quite similar, right? So what varies is your topic. The format of a report is quite similar throughout. So in your introductory paragraph, what you must give, date, time, location, and persons involved. In this case, the schools involved. Try to always give that in your introductory paragraph. If you don't know, you know, you're not quite familiar, you probably need a bit of assistance with remembering what you need to write in your introductory paragraph. Remember, you can go back to those earlier videos that we covered when we did the introductory paragraph itself, right? I gave you a couple samples, and I showed you throughout those samples that there are some things that are always there, which are always present, and those things are your location, date, time, persons involved, right? So you just have to be mindful of that, follow the format of your reports. More details could have been included about the categories. For example, what pieces were played and who played them, right? So there's additional information there. The details in the final line were not necessary for the report, right? So let's just go back to the final line there. Overall, the competition was a success. Once again, participants also displayed the talents of the youth of Trinidad, right? We don't need that, and that's what we mean by irrelevant details, right? That makes it sound like a narrative style. So just be mindful of that. Okay. Next, we are going to language use. Remember, for language use, the descriptors always remain the same, right? So there are things that, these are the things actually that we are mindful of or keeping in mind when we are reading your reports. So we are looking for exclusive use of factual language, right? So your report must be factual, your exclusive use of formal language, right, maintaining the tone, and then fluent and varied sentence types. And I'm going to elaborate a bit more on that when we come back from the break. It's Maghrib time, so we're going to pause for the Maghrib Adhan. But don't go anywhere, guys. We're going to be right back. Assalamu alaikum, good evening guys, and welcome back to C Results. So if you're just joining me, I'm Miss Nyla, and we are on with creative writing, right? So what we are doing, currently we are looking at a report, expository style, and we are using the rubric to assess that piece. Now, we just started, so we are on language use. Now, as we were saying before the break, language use includes, or what we look for is the use of factual language, formal language, and fluent varied sentence types. Now, one of the callers pointed out that the student could have varied the sentences, right, or the sentence types a bit more, right? Now, when we speak about factual language, we are speaking about giving strictly facts. Now, how do you give strictly facts? You leave out your opinion about the event or whatever the topic is. Do not give opinions in a report, right? When you give opinions in a report, it is no longer factual, right? And then when we have formal language is maintaining, a specific style of writing. Now, if you go back to one of the episodes that we did and we looked at formal and informal language, you will know the difference there. So if you're not quite sure about formal and informal, please go back, rewatch that video or watch it for the first time, right? So you'll have a clearer idea about, what is meant by formal and informal language. And then fluent varied sentence types. Sentence types actually refer to your simple, your compound, and your complex sentences, right? So make sure vary your sentences as well, right? Let's look at the general comments here. There was an adequate use of factual language, right? So we had a clear idea, not too many opinions given about the report itself, or the event rather than the last line in the report. Right, use of we in the last paragraph gave the report a conversational tone. Now remember, as I pointed out to you several times, we try to, refrain from using the pronouns I and we in report writing, simply because this is the same reason here. It creates a conversational tone and gives a style or impression of a narrative piece. Remember, the idea of a report is formal. When you use pronouns such as I and we, specifically I and we, right, it changes the tone of your writing, right? So be very mindful of that. And last day in the report that we did, where the incident actually involved you, I told you a couple ways, two ways that you can try to stay away from using the pronoun I, especially if you are the person involved in the incident, right? Sentences did not always flow smoothly, and that comes back to the point where one of the callers said, where we saw some grammatical errors causing the interruption, right, with the flow of sentences, right? So it's not very fluent then, is it? Right? So this child was given 4 for language use. So not because you see 1 or 2 errors here, that means that you are going to be deducted 2 marks. It does not work like that, right? I don't know exactly how the examiner does it in the exam room. Not exam room, actually, when they're marking the SCA papers. I have never corrected SCA papers before, maybe one day in the future, right? But I know that they don't take out an entire mark for 1 error, right? So just be mindful of that. Not to say that, you can go and use the pronoun we or the pronoun I throughout your report and you will not be penalized for it, right? I hope not, but still just maintain that habit. Next, organization, right? Organization, we are looking for clearly defined introduction, body, and conclusion. So I must be able to tell, where the introduction of your report is, what the body looks like, and what is the conclusion there. Now, in your conclusion, remember your conclusion is tying all loose ends or tying all ideas, making sure that you answer, right, everything that you that was said earlier on in your report, right? You don't want to leave anything open or questionable to the person who's reading your report. All ideas, paragraphs, details are logically sequenced, right? So the flow of your report must make sense, right? You cannot give us the results and then give us the events. Now you could, but just how you lay it out, right? But the topic itself, you would know how you have to write and how to lay out the sequence or the ideas in your report. Skillful use of transitional words and phrases to link ideas, right? So remember, in reports, there are specific transitional words that you have to use, as opposed to narrative where it's a little more open and you have many options of using transitional words, right? But with report, because of the style of writing and keeping it formal and strict to that, we want to maintain the use of specific transitional words, right? And of course, we covered that as well, about 7 different types of transitional words, and as well as examples that you can use for your writing. So ensure that you probably learn 1 or 2, even 3 or 4, just to be safe. Remember, I don't want you to use the same transitional word throughout, right? That is repetition. It gets boring after a while. And besides, there are many options that you can choose from. So why will you use the same transitional word over and over, right? And remember, transitions also create that fluency in your writing, right? Sufficient relevant information was included to discern the introduction, body, and conclusion, meaning we were able to differentiate between the introduction of the report, the body, and the conclusion, right? Another hint to that will also be indenting your paragraphs. Important, right? So remember to indent, and that's another way we can tell, you know, which is the introduction, body, and conclusion. Now, or the start of a new paragraph, right? So just be mindful of that. I just want to tell you all that you know that when you're writing a paragraph, try to maintain or limit your paragraph to 1 idea. You don't want to have 2 and 3 ideas going on in the same paragraph. Your paragraph becomes jumbled, right? Information, the flow of it is not smooth anymore, and you start to confuse the reader, right? Too many things at once. So remember, in your paragraph, you're supposed to have a main idea, supporting details, or relevant details, right? What is ever necessary, and if necessary, a concluding sentence, right? So just be mindful of that. Final was used incorrectly in line 16, and I do want to go back to this line just a short bit. Here we would see, actually right here, right? So final in first place with the winning trophy was St. X Private School. So here should actually be finally, right, in first place. Finally, comma, in first place. So that is the error that we pointed out there. Now, lastly, in the rubric, we are looking at grammar mechanics. Now, grammar mechanics deals with capitalization, use of parts of speech, right? So 8 different parts of speech, whichever you use, and however you use it in your writing, must be suitable, appropriate, and properly used, right? Your punctuation marks, your spelling errors. Now, this section is specific with regards to your rubric, right? This ties in really nicely with your ELA paper. If you observe in your section 1 ELA paper, you are given an entire task. 1 to deal with spelling, so that's 2 actually. Actually 3, your entire section 1, right? So your spelling, punctuation, and grammar. So now this is how it's going to be tested in your writing. So once you are able to, you know, earn maximum marks in that section 1 of your ELA paper, why not be able to earn 5 marks in your ELA, in your creative writing, right? So it's just transferring information. So please, that's a nice link for you. So what you can do, work on your section 1 ELA paper, and you are killing 2 birds with 1 stone, right? So now automatically you will be awarded 5 marks if you know how to use your spelling properly, or use proper spelling, punctuation, and capitalization, as well as parts of speech, right? All of that really important in writing. Cannot get past that, right? These rules are always going to apply in your everyday life, when you are speaking, when you are writing, even when you move on to secondary school and tertiary level, right? These rules are going to apply, so it's not a waste of time. It's never going to be a waste of time. So I don't want you to think about it in that manner, right? Just know that this is going to benefit you in the future, and keep that in mind. Maybe that might be a motivation to some of you. Often what we do, we write as how we speak, right? So if you practice writing properly, eventually when you are speaking, those rules are going to be to the back of your mind, right? And when you're speaking, it's going to come naturally to you, because you can become so much more aware, right, of all the errors that we make while we are speaking. Right, so let's look at the comments here. Some errors in grammar mechanics impede the flow of the report at times, right? So this goes back to our caller, which she observed, right? So great job there. And we know there was some sentence construction errors there and a grammar mechanics, right? Now, because you have those errors, what is the result of that? Now, you have a disruption in the flow of the report, in the flow of ideas, in how you receive, or the reader receives that information, right? Now you have to go back and reread the sentence and say, well, what was he trying to say here? Because now you have to read over 3 lines above to understand what he's saying at the 4th line, right? So when you write poorly, or you leave out your punctuation marks, or your grammar is poor, then we have this problem, right? So just be mindful of that. What you can do to fix that, of course, become aware of your rules, practice it, but also if you know it and you're in a rush, revise your work. You know, when you're finished, reread, look for those errors and fix them immediately, right? I left out this point here, all right? It's nothing important that we need to know, it's just repetition, right? Colon needed in line 6. Before the competition, and this was the sentence here, before the competition commenced, each school was divided into 2 categories, junior and senior. The comment or missing punctuation here was actually a colon. Now, why do we need a colon? And if we go back to the use of a colon, when you're going to list something, we can use a colon. So it's divided into 2 categories, colon, junior, and senior. Simple as that, right? Missing comma on line 8. As the students played their pieces, the audience applauded. As the students played their pieces, comma, the audience applauded, right? So that's where you come into your sentence types, right? And also, this is sentence types as well as punctuation with your dependent and your independent clause. There is a sentence fragment in line 10 to 11. This is the line here. Meaning the judges were calculating the points for the junior category. Now this itself here, if you go back to the, and I just want to point it out here, meaning next there was a halftime intermission, meaning the judges were calculating the points for the junior category, right? So a sentence fragment is neither an independent clause nor is it a complete idea, right? So it doesn't fall well within the report there, right? It probably wasn't even necessary to some extent. So overall, let's calculate how much marks this child received in this report, right? So 4 for content, right? 4 for language use, that's 8. 4 for organization, 12. And 3 for grammar, 15. So that's 15 out of 20 marks, right? So I don't know how many of you agree with that. Right? Based on the comments we looked at and the feedback from the students, I am in agreement, right? So just a few things you can do, a few adjustments, just to touch up, brush up on this report where you can actually earn that full 20 marks. And you see how easy it is to lose marks, right? Some of the ways that you can fix that, of course, is by knowing your rules, just as I pointed out with one of the things here with punctuation, but also rereading your work. That's really important. What's report also, I know it's a bit more challenging for lots more students, right? One of the callers said they actually prefer report to narrative, right? But don't let your preference, you know, hinder your performance, right? So whether it's report or narrative, try to master it. Remember, creative writing is actually a skill. The only way that you're going to perfect that skill is by practice, right? So I don't know how much practice you had with report writing and with narrative style writing, but it should have been a lot because you are now in standard 5 ready for the SCA exam, right? Probably about 26 days to go. It could be a little less, 26 days. And, you know, since standard 4, you have been in the practice of writing reports, right? And even from the junior levels, you would have been in practice with the narrative. So you maybe have, you know, a little more practice with that. But essentially, what is important, just follow the rules that your teacher gives you, right? Whatever they give you is going to benefit you, and whatever we teach here, I'm sure it's the same information. Use it and, you know, make sure you get the best of it. Right now, I would like to go to the narrative piece. If we have some extra time, right, I'll come back to this, but I really want to share with you, right, some of the students' pieces, right, from the last assignment on the Edmodo, well, the Edmodo assignment, right? Just give me 1 second there. Right, so this is actually the instructions here. Now, before we get into this, if we have new viewers, I'm going to share a little bit about the Edmodo class with you to the end of the session today, right? Because simply it's a great forum where we welcome all students and parents to participate and become an active member, right? I'm going to share some benefits with you shortly. So this is these are the instructions for the scenario. You were with your father standing in line to pay for your groceries at a popular supermarket. Suddenly the fire alarm went off. Everyone looked around nervously. Write a story describing what happened and how the situation ended. This week, write only the third and fourth paragraph. Hint, focus on climax and fall in action. Remember to continue from where you left off. Now, you're actually seeing for this week to do X and Y. Now, this has been something that, we ongoing actually. So, for the past couple of weeks, when we just started report writing, because we didn't have the chance, at that point, we had just completed narrative and we had to jump right into report. So, we did not have the chance for students to submit an entire essay and then to mark it and showcase it here. Now, what makes it a little more feasible for us, Sejaz and myself, right, give it over the couple of weeks, right, and then correct it paragraph by paragraph, right, so the workload is a bit less for us and even for you, right, and each week you are given feedback on what you do and how you perform. I use that feedback, guys. I urge you use the feedback to improve your next paragraph, right, so here it goes. This one is actually read already, and this one was by... Okay, I think Sejaz left it out. Okay, great. So we're going to start with this piece. A firefighter shouted out to his colleagues, "Look, up there," as he pointed to the window, like they disappeared inside the building. Fire hoses like red, slithering snakes were being dragged into the building. People were still coming out of the supermarket in droves, clamoring over each other as news of the fire spread. Out came the stretcher with the gentleman, whose name I found out to be Mr. Singh. This time he was calm, appearing oblivious to what was going on around him. Suddenly a strong wind blew its breath on the fire, giving it extra energy as it licked the wall of the building. Black, thick smoke made its way to where we were standing, and we had to move back. My eyes watered and I began coughing frantically. Daddy gave me some water to drink, and we ambled to a safer distance to look at the fire. A hush swept over the area for a brief moment, and at last, 2 firefighters emerged, towing a lady wearing a baker's hat. The fire seemed to be quelling as fast as it had started. Through the window, the smoke had disappeared. If it wasn't for the parked fire engines, police, ambulance, and people, you would not have known there was a fire. Finally, the other 2 firefighters came out, a look of triumph on their faces. They gave a thumbs up, and everyone started clapping loudly. One of them was holding a red fire extinguisher. I guess this was used to put out the fire. Everything is under control, a fire officer explained. An oven caught a fire in the bakery, he went on to say. The manager thanked the authorities for their quick action and then apologized to us that the supermarket will be closed for the rest of the day. Daddy and I left in our car to continue our grocery shopping at a next supermarket. I hope there was no more incidents for the day. This was written by Zaria James, right? So terrific work, Zaria, as you always do, right? One of the top performers, always, making an effort. Each week is something new, interesting ideas, right? Always an improvement. Now, I want to commend the use of figurative language in this piece, right? Job well done. Now, I just want to point out fire hoses like red slithering snakes, right? Great use of simile, right? People coming out of the supermarket, right? Here, it gives us some visual, right? Sensory details about, what is happening. People are coming out, clamoring over each other, right, because of the news. So you can actually picture that. Out came the stretcher, right, all of that. And then here, suddenly, a strong wind blew its breath on the fire, giving it extra energy as it licked the wall of the building, right? So great use of personification as well. So great job with the sensory detail, right? If you notice, black, thick smoke, all of that contributes, right, to sight, sense of sight, as well as the figurative language also brings this piece alive. Now, what I also want to point out here, this time he was calm, appearing oblivious to what was going on around him, right? I'm not sure exactly what is meant by this line here, if she mentioned this person earlier on in the writing, right? To my knowledge, she did not. So this line confuses me just a bit, right? So probably could have explained that a little better, right? But that's fine. It's not a big problem, right? And then just checking out to make sure we have no more errors. Here we can see the start of a new paragraph. While it's not indented, it's not that she didn't indent it, right? So when we were typing here, we just didn't put an indent, right? Overall, great job. But this last line here, I hope there were no more incidents for the day, right? You don't necessarily need to put that line there while it's your opinion. And yes, you can do that for narrative, but now it sounds as though, you know, something else is missing. You could have added another piece of information there, right? But overall, good job, Zaria. Keep up the good work. And we do look forward to your conclusion for this piece of writing, right? Now, when we are finished with this, which is going to be tomorrow, right, 11:59, that assignment is due. We are going to compile the essays, and then we are going to actually, you know, just as we have been marking reports and narrative and so on using the rubric, we are going to be marking your piece, right, using the rubric, right? So you can look out for that. Let's look at this other example. Fire, fire, with the frantic screams heard. Questions overwhelmed my mind. Am I going to die? Will I be able to get through this horrifying terror? Momentarily, I heard my father shouting, Julia, Julia, where are you? I was elated since I located his voice from all the wailing. My father spotted my red shoes and ran up to me. He hugged me, grasped my hand, and ran through the thick smoke to the nearest exit. At last, we made it out of the paranormal. Deep breaths were taken as sirens were heard in the distance. I gasped aloud as I saw how the building illustrated from the outside. Right, so let's just go through this piece, right? Starts off nicely there, right? It gives us something, draws your attention, right? Something is screaming out to you. So that's a nice start to this paragraph, right? Now we have some rhetorical questions going on. That is always nice, right? Now we are on the third line here where we come across a spelling error of horrifying, right? So make sure, I'm not sure if it's a typo or if it's actually, you know, a word misspelled, right? But just be mindful of your spelling when you reread your work, right? And edit those mistakes. Momentarily, right? So nice use of transition. I heard my father shouting, Julia, Julia, where are you? I was elated since I located his voice from all the wailing, right? It could have given us a little more, you know, something a little more interesting here. Probably it was a bit difficult to find him at first, and then he did something or you heard something, right? And, you know, that would have drawn a little more attention. So a little more detail here itself would have been nice. My father spotted my red shoes and ran up to me. So now, this could have been here, your final detail about that. So when I said add the details here, right, you could have added a little more about, you know, him finding you, how difficult it was through that smoke and horror and all of that. And this here could have been where he found you, right? He spotted your red shoes and so on. He hugged me, grasped my hand, and ran through the thick smoke to the nearest exit. At last, so we're missing a full stop here, right? Exit, at last, right? We made it out of the paranormal. Paranormal here, right? Meaning, you know, something so surreal. You can't believe what is happening, right? Deep breaths were taken as sirens were heard. And I do believe this one here is a typo. In a distance, I gasped aloud as I saw how the building illustrated from the outside. Right? Illustrated here, probably not the most suitable word there. Right? But overall, congratulations, Julia. Job well done. Right? Do take this feedback, you know, as a positive criticism, which it is, you know, for all students. We are trying, you know, for you to improve on your writing. So, you know, I don't want anyone feeling hurt by anything that I say. I'm trying to be as sensitive as I can, right? This is positive criticism only, right, guys? We're only looking to excel and nothing else. All right, let's go on to this piece. Minutes after getting all the groceries on our list, it was finally time to cash out. As I stood in the line, I was filled with happiness as this day was a great one at the most popular grocery store. Then suddenly the sprinklers went off and the fire alarm rang. Everyone looked around nervously. They went into a panic mood. People ran all over the store in fear. Even though a fire was nowhere in sight, the store was in chaos. While everyone was running around like headless chickens, I decided to be as fearless as a hero and went in search of the fire. I firstly saw the fire alarm and took it off, but I still went in search of the fire. Then I spotted a fire extinguisher. After searching the entire store for the fire, you never saw anything, but thankfully the store back in order, as everyone helped by putting back items on shelves and mopping the floor of water. I was happy once more. Right? This was written by Florence Bernard. So there's a few comments here. Now, the last part here in this this paragraph is just a bit confusing. Only reason being, remember the topic, right, is about you know, a supermarket being engulfed by flames, right? So here you said that, you know, didn't actually witness a fire, but there, you know, the sprinklers came on and so on. You heard the fire alarm, right? So you could have told us, you know, somewhere eventually that there was a fire and give us a little bit of description about that, as that is the topic. And the reader is looking forward to see how you describe, right, the flames of that fire or the fire itself, right? Some spelling errors, chaos here. And something else I came across, right? But spelling errors, again, that can be avoided. Practice your spelling, and of course, reread your work. Good transitional words, good use of transitional words, and punctuation marks overall. Here, I believe this is a typo. I never saw anything, right? Double negatives also, right? That could be potentially be a problem once overused, right? But overall, Florence, keep up the good work and strive for excellence. Right? And we have time to go through another one. Right, this isn't that long. Fearfully, oh, actually, yes. Let me just give me 1 second. Let me just double check this. Right. Fearfully, I hid behind my dad, wondering if everything was going to be all right. Glass shattered. I screamed to the top of my lungs like a little girl, and jumped up as if I had received an electric shock. Within a few minutes, the firemen arrived. The man swept the fire with water, using a hose, making sure the fire was gone. Before it was gone, I could just see it cackling at everyone, saying that he would be back. Another foreman searched the building to make sure no one was in the building. The chief investigated the cause of the fire. After the man told Mrs. Nyla that the fire was purposely set, she stood with her mouth ajar. Everyone was friends with Mrs. Nyla and no one hated her. She was a peacemaker. Who would ever do this to me? She exclaimed. Right, so this paragraph here, I'm a little bit, right, confused. I know it has some more details coming along somewhere, right? So just be mindful of that. And we're just going to go on to read the rest of it. My father, generous as ever, took out all his money that he withdrew that morning and gave it to her. She thanked him profusely. She said that it would not be enough as the supermarket did not have any insurance, but she was so grateful. My dad suggested a fundraiser during the weekend. Father and I left the scene. I jumped into the front seat of the Range Rover. My father was already making calls to organize for the fundraiser. Remember, guys, so Aditya, right, we do applaud your effort. So not so many errors with grammatical structure, sentence construction, punctuation, and so on. So good job with that, right? But I just want to tell you that, and all students, that remember to stick on topic, right? Now, he's not straying from the topic, but the details given should be on the fire, right? And anything surrounding that or supporting details for that, right? So this here sounds like 2 paragraphs about the supermarket. The supermarket, probably the owner, right, or whoever is this person, character in your story, right? So what you can do to just improve this a bit, you know, give us a little more details about the setting of the fire and what is taking place with regards to that, right? And leading up to your conclusion, right, is your sentence that says you jump into the front seat of a Range Rover and you and your dad left, right? So good job, keep working on it, and we look forward to your next paragraph. So guys, I do have one more, so probably I can read this quickly. We have a couple minutes, so I do want to read this, right? We did as told and went to the emergency exit. As we were walking back, we saw an old woman walking around. We thought she was looking for the emergency exit, but we were wrong. She was actually shopping still, and she didn't hear the microphone saying there was a fire. And the worst thing was that the fire was spreading rapidly. Without thinking twice, I rushed to help the old woman. With just a minute to spare, I saved the old woman, but the fire was all around us. I was thinking about how I can save me and this old woman. Just then, I remembered about video games. If I run and jump quickly, the fire will only touch me. So I did my best, and we both made it out through the emergency exit alive. Right? So, Kevin, great effort. Right? You started off nicely here. Right? What you could have done here when you saw this old woman. Give us, a little mystery, a little insight, what she experienced, what you saw happening, right? How you saved her. Probably when you were about to save her, walls came tumbling down, the fog, not fog actually, the smoke, right? And the smog was so thick, so dark, gray, right? Pervaded the entire atmosphere. You couldn't see, you couldn't find your way, right? You weren't sure how you were going to get out. You started to question, are you going to make it? Is she going to make it? Now she's coughing, she cannot breathe, right? You need help from outside, somebody to come and assist with her. She's heavy, you can't lift her up, right? And all this while, everything else about the fire is going on in the background. It's coming closer and closer to you. You can feel the heat, right, on your feet, right? Probably the floor was metal, something like that. And now you have to move, right? Time was running out quickly. So what I want, a little more description, a little more details about the actual event for the topic given, right? So students, overall, good job, everyone, right? Keep up the good work, right? So before we go, I want to mention that IBN-TV and San Juan Muslim Ladies Organization is holding an essay writing competition, right? On topic is why I love to fast in Ramadan. It's open to boys and girls, 12 and under, and it's due Friday, the 10th of April. It must be handwritten and addressed to this given address here. Cash prizes include first prize, $5,000, second prize, $3,000, and third prize, or third place, $2,000. So guys, I urge you, right, participate in this competition. You have a chance to win any of those 3 awesome prizes. Right, and of course, I must remind you all that we have replays of the show right here on IBN TV channel 8 every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And in mentioning that, this Saturday we're going to have a SCA results or C results marathon. So all day Saturday, we are going to get, you are going to be seeing episodes, right, probably from the very beginning. So we're going to try to get it in until the end of the day to this current episode, right? We're going to do as best as we can. So look out for that. Also, you can join us on Facebook via C Results page or YouTube. Subscribe to our C Results page, right? And there the videos are also available to you, and you can look at them, rewatch them anytime. Share them with your family members. Encourage them as well to become part of the C Results family. And being part of the C Results family means joining the Edmodo class. The class code is up on your screen there. Right, you simply just have to enter the class code after you have joined the class at www.edmodo.com. Whether it's a parent or the student, become a part and participant and take the quizzes, share your ideas, answer questions on the forum with us, share any learning experiences and ask questions as much as you like. So guys, that brings us to the end of this week. The next week brings us 1 week closer to the SCA exam, and I will be reminding you about that on Monday as you join us for ELA and mathematics. Do have a great weekend, guys, and I look forward to seeing you on Monday. Assalamu alaikum. Good evening.